this edition on Breaking CBK, going to be shoutcasting Osen. Joining me as Yor here as a co-caster. And this is the Cooler Master HoNor Tournament, $5,000 prize pool on the line. We are now in the group stages of this event. And we have you from Group C, A-Man, taking on Team It's Gosu, with Team It's Gosu winning the first game. Now again, this isn't a series by any means, that's just static 2 games, so no matter what happens here, we will be finished with this series, but you just play each other team twice, resulting in 6 matches total throughout your group, with 4 teams in each group, and then the top 2 records at the end of the day, or at the end of the group stages, will move on to the quarterfinal stage. So again, it sucks that AWA lost, but by no means is it the biggest deal in the world. This is a tough group now, mind you, but a win here could definitely, you know, if anything, cancel it out and still make them feel pretty confident throughout the group stage. So looking forward to seeing what happens. Again, with that said, so Ziori, what about you?
Well, I'm glad you gave that little recap of the format here because, as you are well aware, I have been confused from the get-go here as far as what we're covering, the 2 static games. For some reason, I'm having trouble wrapping my head around all of it. But, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly right. Regardless of who wins this one, there's not going to be a third game. It's not a series, just group play. Yeah. And each team plays every other team twice. So, like you said, a total of 6 matches. So that's where we are. Yeah. Into this little mini-series here, Game 2, I'm really excited for. Game 1, obviously a little bit slow. There was quite a bit of downtime in that game with some static farming, but it ended up being kind of interesting in the end, being able to compare the sort of Mage Bane Jeremiah against the Puppet Master Wretched Hag combo. But alas, Team It's Gosu came out victorious with their Mage Bane triple healer style of play, and I'll be curious to see if they execute something similar here. Of course, Mage Bane being the very first ban here. So
yeah. Not surprised there by Franzi to go ahead and ban that Mage Bane. Obviously, they were very annoyed by him last game, not only because of him, but just the lineup in general. But that's, you know, that's what happens. Team It's Gosu, again, as I stated, here to win, $5,000 on the line, and they'll do what it takes as they should. So, the bans, though, as far as all the bans go, we do have Mage Bane, Silhouette, Aluna, Tempest, Demented Shaman, Magmus, Tundra, and Pebbles. So I do find a couple of these bans very interesting. Obviously, the Silhouette we talked about last game, Haxer, and very good Silhouette player. So I guess not so much that one, but Aluna is definitely one that really stands out to me. Was banned by Team It's Gosu with their 3rd ban, it looks like. And then once again, we see the Demented Shaman ban, as we talked about the last time around, and then Tempest even banned this time around after not being banned or picked the first game. So, yeah. What are your thoughts, though, on these bans here, Zuri?
Well, it's definitely a little bit strange seeing Tempest banned but not Ophelia. I think in most cases, if given those 2 choices, most teams will pick up Ophelia over Tempest, assuming they have someone who can handle the skill cap of Ophelia. And, you know, in our pro scene, usually there's at least one person that can play a fairly mean Ophelia. So that's sort of interesting, and perhaps that's kind of what Team It's Gosu is going for here, saying, okay, well, maybe they'll pick up something else than Ophelia first, and we can snag some of these other really strong heroes that weren't banned. So, of course, they did get Ophelia and Nymphora without Pebbles on the board. You know, what are they going to do with that Nymphora? And the 2 other combos that come to mind are either Fade or Armadon. And, you know, Armadon had a pretty good time last game, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see Team It's Gosu possibly try and work him into their roster yet again here.
Yeah. I'm intrigued about that Jeremiah as well. See if we have a repeat performance of him. And again, we talked about the last time with the Electrician on the board, though. They decided to pass it up, go for the Puppet Master final pick instead. Despite them going up against Electrician. So anyways, I'm curious if he's going to be mixed in. But we do see Team It's Gosu. They got their 4 out of the 5 heroes, and man, oh man, oh man, talk about completely different lineup than last time. I mean, they went from a very static, very stale, very passive, very farm-heavy team. This time around, this is all about aggression. Wretched Hag, Polywog Priest, Nymphora, and Ophelia. 4 intellect heroes right off the bat here for Team It's Gosu. So again, just talk about a complete change of pace here. Love to see that here for Team It's Gosu, showing that they could definitely play more than just one simple strategy. Loving their lineup. I am interested to see how they finish that thing off.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that as well. Who are they going to pair with this Nymphora is really what I want to know. But you're right, and this, in my mind at least, is reminiscent of something more of a classic TiG lineup. You know, when I think of Team It's Gosu, I tend to think pretty aggressive, you know, of course. So with Chessie, things like Zephyr come to mind and all sorts of things. But they tend to be a fairly aggressive team that, sort of like Black Fade in that sense. If they can, they will put that pressure on and keep it unrelenting sort of as long as it's sustainable. So seeing this roster is definitely Good to hear. I mean, with that Polywog Priest and Ophelia, they're going to have a hell of a lot of pushing power. I really want to know what they're going to do with this Nymphora, though. I would imagine this last pick is going to be something related to Nymphora, but we'll see. Of course, those last 2 picks here for AY are going to be Torturer Parasite, 2 very powerful heroes. And seeing that Parasite against Ophelia is certainly good news there for AY.
It'll be fun to see her. I think Fade, actually, would be a fun final pick here. To go with that Nymphora, you talk about who she's going to pair with, and that would just really complete the aggression mindset. Armadon was the other choice, though, and sure enough, we are going to see that, obviously. Again, another hero that can pair very well with that Nymphora. And so that's kind of that you know what, we need somebody, perhaps, to be able to take a little bit of damage on our team. And Armadon can definitely fit that role very well. So that's a very solid final pick there. And overall, I definitely like their line. I mean, and the lanes make a lot of sense. They got a lot of aggression, but they also got that, you know, beefy hero to play in the midst of it all, and perhaps be the one to absorb a lot of the damage, like I said. So, yeah, definitely a fan of Team It's Ghostu's lineup overall. Legion side, AY, they got their 5 done, so to go over their whole lineup, Glacius, Moraxis, Parasite, Bubbles, and Torturer. So they too got a bit of aggression themselves. I guess I'm sitting here focusing on Team It's Ghostu so much, but AY very similar. Also going with the Moraxis as kind of that beefy hero in the mix of it all. So this is I'm glad, because this is definitely going to be a much different pace game than last game.
Yes, it certainly should be, at least. But you're right. And what's interesting about these teams is they do have a very comparable roster. They both have that kind of scary lane with a tank hero, Armadon Nymphora on the Hellborn side, and then what I would assume is going to be Glacius and Moraxis on the Legion side. One strength, meaty tank hero a piece on both sides, both with a jungler, and then the rest, it's all about the intellect here. You know, Polywog Priest and Torturer, sort of the pushing forces, and Nymphora Hag on the Hellborn side, kind of toe-to-toe. With the Bubbles Glacius side. So there are a lot of parallels in this matchup, which is going to make it pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah, exactly right. So this is going to be a lot of fun, no doubt. Again, you know, it's not that there's anything wrong with the lineups from last game, but definitely didn't provide the entertainment factor, at least for the earlier parts of the game, which is unfortunate as a spectator. But this time around, it just has to be. I mean, there's no way that we're not going to see action, you know, earlier on in this game and to have it continue. So, looking forward to that big time. I mean, right off the bat, you see what A-Man's doing right here. They got 4 of the heroes up here on the top side. Looks like they're going to start breaking away, though. Torture heading towards that middle lane. As Wretched Hag going to be the solo hero up here by herself. Parasite, though, this means that he's going to be in the Hellborn jungle, obviously, and I'm sure expecting to see Ophelia in there, but Team It's Ghostu kind of planning for that themselves. Chessie on Ophelia is instead heading towards the Legion jungle. Now, I believe he was spotted by the courier there as it was scouting things out, so it does make me wonder if perhaps Parasite is going to make an early adjustment, or if he says, screw it, I'm already up here, I can still set up myself up in decent gank positions, and at least we'll take benefit of that. So,
yeah, I mean, the nice thing about Parasite, especially in the early stages, you can just kind of run up and down the map as you get creeps. He has that increased movement speed, but, you know, maybe try and set up a gank top. If that doesn't work, roam mid, try and set up a gank there, and then upon leaving mid, just head into the Legion jungle. So you can really take some efficient routes with Parasite to make him much more viable as far as moving all around the map early on. I mean, worst case scenario, he's just going to be able to free farm up here in the Legion jungle and not have to worry about Ophelia stealing his big creeps. You know, Wretched Hag isn't really going to be doing a hell of a lot to pressure him here up in the Hellborn jungle, I think. Maybe misspoke. So, you know, I guess it's sort of a win-win for Parasite. He either gets to counter the effects of Ophelia, or he gets to jungle all to himself, where he's going to be able to free farm very, very nicely. So we'll have to keep close tabs on what Fawn does here with this Parasite. But I'm sure he'll be quite active throughout this game.
Yeah, no, Fiend is a very, very good jungle player, and especially on Parasite, I definitely have some performances that come to mind where it's done exceptionally well. So it's just like I believe Fiend will have a good time here for A-Man. And looking forward to seeing that active play earlier on the later, depending on what minions he gets, I'm sure, and especially in this middle lane. But, you know, as we see there, that Ward of Sight, obviously it will protect the middle lane from Parasite, or at least that's the idea of it. So Polywog Priest should be able to react to the possible Parasite ganks. Nymphora, or Ophelia, excuse me, actually still roaming through the Legion jungle, actually doing some pulling of some Wild Hunters there. Well, I guess not necessarily pulling, just realizing that they're Wild Hunters and be like, well, I can't use those. I'm going to go elsewhere. So that's what she's going to do. She's going to come down here and possibly take over that Vagabond leader and going to continue to farm herself. So that leads us to the bottom lane, really. Nymphora Armadon against this Bubbles, and, you know, as expected, Haxorn and Armadon having a pretty good time down here. So right away, only 2 minutes in, nothing too crazy happening. But Parasite is now heading towards the Legion jungle here and may actually run into Ophelia. So this could get a little bit interesting. Can he steal the creep at the last second? No, he couldn't. That would have been epic. He does take over the Catman champion, though. And he's going to chase down Ophelia with it. So now he's going to start making Ophelia's life pretty difficult. And Ophelia maybe in a little bit of trouble. There's that Catman champion. There's that chain reactions coming out. And Ophelia's dropping quickly. And Bloodlust kill coming out for Fane right there. So sure enough, Parasite will get the Bloodlust.
Yeah, very unfortunate timing for Ophelia. It's sort of in the worst position possible for that to happen. In that camp where she's kind of isolated and has no real easy path to make it back to safety. So kind of unfortunate. I mean, a nice play from Fawn as well as a nice play from Torturer to move down there and make that possible. So definitely good stuff. We see Glacia's kind of roaming towards the mid lane here with Rape, looking to put some pressure on Limp, trying to lock down that Polywog Priest a little bit, but alas, not going to find that opportunity he's looking for, thanks to that ward pallet through down that you mentioned a little bit earlier. So Polywog going to be safe and sound, but Armadon still continuing to have a pretty good time down here in the bottom lane with this Nymphora. Bubbles seems to be doing a reasonably good job picking up some of that experience, hiding in the trees, but his farm is, well, pretty much negligible.
Yeah. Oh, Wretched Hag actually getting jumped up here at the top, and the double stun going to come out. The Ice Prison on top of the Quake Stun, but Wretched Hag will blink away before too much happens, or will she actually? Glacius is still chasing. Doesn't have enough mana for another freeze, so now Wretched Hag can apply some pressure on Glacius and force him to fall back. Meanwhile, Nymphora the bottom lane going at it with Bubbles. As we're talking about down here about Parasite coming in. Bubbles made try to set up a kill on the Nymphora. There's Cell Leech coming out, and Fane will indeed get credit for the kill. But now Bubbles, he's not able to Shell Surf away because he used the Shell Surf to snipe down Nymphora, and that's going to result in a death for him. So, one of those cases, a win for the kill, and got the kill, but it did also put himself in a pretty dire situation, as we saw in the end right there. So Armadon, that's probably the bad thing to come out of it. Well, definitely the bad thing to come out of it. Armadon's farm, as you just got finished mentioning there, is even that much better now after what just happened at the bottom lane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely right. I mean, Armadon, maybe saving grace is too bold of a statement, but, I mean, he's in great shape. He's just below that 400 GPM mark, still free farming his way to victory, and right now he's what's keeping his team actually in the lead at the moment. So it's sort of interesting how that works out, but kind of what we would expect, I suppose, given the other two lanes. Wretched Hag doing exactly what Bubbles is doing here, just trying to sit back, give some creep kills when appropriate, but mostly just hide by the tower and try to prevent death. So it's kind of unfortunate Ophelia had such a slow start. Trying to... I don't know if Ophelia's efforts to counter jungle were to try and read that Parasite was going to be up in the Hellborn side and then try and just avoid him altogether, or if it was something else of just trying to be maybe a little bit more aggressive. But whatever the reason was, obviously Ophelia struggling quite a bit here in the early phases.
Yes, it's and again, I can't say I'm too surprised at that myself. It's just in general, when you go up against a Parasite as an Ophelia, it's going to suck. I mean, even if he hasn't been babies, even if he hasn't been humping your leg by any means. The occasional constantly coming at you, and then just the idea of knowing that he could be anywhere at any time, especially with the lack of vision on the map that at least right now the Hellborn team seems to have, other than this bottom rune down here. So I think that's definitely a big key, as we do see Parasite back in the Hellborn jungle, taking out some creeps right here, using the Vulture Lord to do so, and almost running into Wretched Hag, actually. But going to continue his farm. Obviously, he's got that early Ring of Sorcery as a result of his very good farm here early on, so that's, again, more great news for Fane, and going to allow him to play even that much more active, as he's got a camp of Wild Hunters here, so possible ganks incoming.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll be curious, do you think he's just going to go straight for that Codex, maybe go for a fast Health Flower, or even just a fast Portal Key? What are you thinking?
Well, I think, especially against this Hellborn team, I really think the Codex is just the choice of item. And I say that because it's just that upfront burst damage, especially if you can get it sooner than later. And again, you're dealing with this Hellborn team, other than Armadon, all very, very squishy. It'll guarantee you a kill if you get that Codex. So I really find it hard to believe that Codex will not be the item of choice here for Fane. But I will say, boots are probably going to be priority first, as well as the Ghost Marches. We see right here, Polywog Priest. Oh, what a play by Polywog Priest! He gets a War Trap out. He also used the illusions to make Parasite actually damage the illusions instead of himself. And he's going to now turn this around, and Nymphora comes in. The Electric Jaw and a double tap for Limp right there. Holy crap. That could not have worked out any better for Limp. The illusion used at the perfect timing got Parasite to leech one of his illusions instead of himself, and no doubt that allowed him to set up the turnaround. Well played.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. I saw it right away, just like, oh man, that leech would have been a kill. Oh gosh, one of those just like cosmic coincidences of right when Parasite clicked, he used the illusions and totally threw him off. So some Gosu timing there, though.
Yeah.
Hard to believe that it was purely intentional, but very well played by Limp nonetheless. Going to skew things in favor of Team It's Gosu here. Finally going to start to pull ahead by about 1,000 gold, 1,000 experience. Definitely good news. And Polywog Priest now the second highest gold farmer in the game, so that is definitely good news for TiG as well.
Yeah, that was huge for Polywog Priest. I mean, you compare him how he's doing in farm, he's 29-11 compared to this 20-6 Torturer. So he has also been winning this middle lane quite effectively. So Limp, especially with that double tap kill, looking pretty strong himself. He just got finished talking about Will being a little bit of danger, though. Chain reactions hit. Nice Hex on a Glacius right before the freeze, and that will end up keeping him alive. Again, another clutch moment right there. Coming up, but yours truly Limp, and he will survive. So he's making some big plays here, and going to be helpful for his team as a result of that, no doubt. Parasite in the meantime in the jungle will avoid the seal stun, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to survive. No creeps are nearby, so he can't take anything over, and we do see his death come as a result of that. So good catch onto him. Ophelia gets a little bit of revenge herself as a result of what we saw right there.
Yeah, now back-to-back kills on Parasite, really slowing him down. If you look at his farm, it's not even close to what it was earlier on in this game, now sitting around 230 GPM, so that is definitely a rough for Parasite. Down in the bottom lane, Bubbles actually almost getting taken out. Hacks are going to dive that tower a little bit. The last Shell Surf will be enough to keep Bubbles alive. Speaking of farm, though, Armadon not slowing down one bit, still bordering below that 400 GPM mark, only 8 minutes in, is always good news from the Armadon perspective at least. In the mid lane, though, we're going to see Polywog Priest in big trouble. Looks like they might actually be able to finish off Limp this time. He does turn it around on the Torturer, though, and picks up the kill. Glacius finally finishes him off, but Limp, man, the last second ultimate allows him to pick up the kill on the raid.
Well, the biggest thing about that is what he killed Torturer before he died right there, so he also got the experience bonus for it. So, again, Limp making some huge plays right here. Chessie deserving credit, too. He came in with the flank, obviously, and helped to set up that kill obviously onto Torturer, so well played on his part. But, yeah, Limp, man, I mean, we know some powerful Polywog Priest players throughout Han's history. Limp is definitely playing an exceptional Polywog Priest here himself and being quite the entertaining player. So, but again, this also brings up a point of look at how much action we've already had in this game. It's already 5-4 hero kills in favor of Hellborn team. We're only 9.5 minutes in. I mean, we didn't have a Bloodlust kill last game until I believe it was the 8-minute mark or something like that. So, again, as expected, it goes to show you how much different this game is and how different this game can be in general. That, you know, Heroes and Heroes competitive Han, great series here to show two sides of the spectrum, really. So. But so far, I mean, as far as who's in the lead right now, the Hellborn team at 2,100 gold lead, 2,000 experience lead. And leading the way is Armadon, continuing to dominate. 400 gold per minute now. He's got his helmet of the Black Legion. He already has another 1,000 gold saved up. He may actually finish his boots right here. In fact, there we go. Ghost Marcher's picked up. He's looking pretty strong. But Moraxis, on the other hand, not doing too bad himself, but he's also 100 GPM less than Armadon. That's a big difference there. I mean, we do see he has a Steam Boots finish that's sitting at 300 gold per minute, but again, you compare it to that Armadon, it's quite a bit behind. So
yeah, it's one of those cases like, yeah, he's farming great, but compared to Armadon, it's like, unfortunately, just not enough. It's one of those kind of situations. We'll see what Armadon does with that farm. I mean, he has all those core items now, and interestingly enough, going to have to pick up the Ghost Marchers, which is not an item. I guess we see it from time to time on Armadon, but it seems the Steam Boots are a little bit more popular, so is sort of an interesting choice from Haxorn, though, you know, I like the Ghost Marchers, no complaints.
Yeah, Ghost Marchers definitely, well, you know, the benefits are obvious, so really not a whole lot of point to go into it, but you are right. I mean, it's just one of those cases of, you know, sometimes we see Ghost Marchers, sometimes we see Steam Boots in this case. Haxorn going with the Ghost Marchers as a result of preference. We'll get some heal right here from N4 and needs it because a lot of pressure being applied. Look at Moraxis charging against us. I can think better than you, bitch. Charges onto it, and the explosion comes out, and will help for the kill right there. Fane actually going to get credit. All 5 of them are here, though, exactly. They do deny the tower, but all 5 of them are here, and this will free up some farm time for Wretched Hack big time. And they also, what the hell? Where did that come from? They just go Kongor.
Exactly. That's what, I mean, that felt like a huge overreaction, although it was a nice defense. They got a kill and defended the tower. That is a huge overreaction. Wretched Hag now has free farm up in the top lane. They were able to pick up a Kongor kill at the 11-minute mark. I mean, talk about a distraction. I sort of missed the beginning of it too, but looking at the wards, Pallet and Chessie doing some nice counter-warding action here. Had the whole pit on lockdown, not going to be able to get a tier 1 tower. So I have to question the choice for all 5 heroes to port in to finish off.
I mean, to be fair, the last thing you expect is for an 11-minute Kongor. So, I mean, that's one thing, but I still think they overreacted, as we're talking about, obviously.
Still, just giving Hag free farm is one of those things. If you can avoid it, you certainly should. I mean, Hag's definitely on the rebound here, well above 200 GPM, making a very solid comeback from kind of that rough early game in the 2v1 lane. So that's definitely good news. Like we mentioned, the tier 1 tower falling in the mid lane, and now up in the top, looks like this tier 1's going to fall. There is an M4 port on the way, though, and she is going to bring Armadon up here, and it looks like we could have a team fight happening. Hag going to be in a little bit of trouble, but Bubbles is going to get locked down. The Bat Blast actually not going to connect with Bubbles. The Kelp Field going to come out, and Hag going to commit suicide as he tries to blink out of the Kelp Field range. Bubbles actually still alive, finally going to go down to a stray spine there from Armadon, but our Legion side with a pretty nice hold here, defending very nicely. Parasite going to get caught by Polywog Priest, though. He's going to fall. Now we see Meraxis in big trouble. One more Spine Burst ought to do it. Is Armadon going to be able to catch up? Those Ghost Marchers worth their weight in gold right now. Breaky CPK able to catch up to Meraxis and secure the kill. So a nice cleanup there from Team Gosu, and of course they do get the tower kill.
Yeah, that ended up working very well in the end for our team. It was looking like AY may have been able to make a turnaround. As you mentioned, Bubble survived as long as he did, but as soon as Polywog Priest came in, especially with that token of life, God, that's crazy. Now the wards are down to level 2 tower. Those are level 2 wards as well. This is going to be a tower kill. I mean, we're 13 minutes into the game. We've already seen a Kongor kill, 4 tower kills in favor of Team Gosu right now. Wow, 7,700 gold lead out of nowhere, it seems like, and 13 minutes in, 3,000 experience on top of that. And Team Gosu really taking it to A-Man right now, has a huge advantage overall as a team.
Unrelenting pressure. I mean, 4 tower kills in 13 minutes is just pretty remarkable. And Kongor on top of that, like you said, it's pretty remarkable. This is one of these games where what comes back to me is what we spoke about, I guess, maybe a week ago when I mentioned Polywog Priest is sort of a carry, and we got that whole discussion about carry heroes versus carrying and that kind of stuff. But this is one of these games where Polywog Priest got a little bit of early farm thanks to that double tap with that illusion rune that we commented on, and now Polywog Priest is just one of the driving forces in this game. He has the token. He's got 400 GPM right now, 3-1-1. He's responsible for pushing a couple of towers, and really he's responsible for that Kongor kill as well, as his wards did the bulk of the damage. They're going to be able to come down here, and thanks to his crown control, shut down Fawn there on Parasite and secure an easy kill. So Haxorin playing a hell of an Armadon as well, but limp on this Polywog Priest, man. Something else.
Wretched, I could not blink away in time right there as we saw Meraxis and Glacius, I believe it was, collapsing on him. Meraxis, though, once again, Polywog Priest going to be the key figure and taking out Meraxis right here as a result of hexing him when he was trying to pour it out. Sets up the CC rotation, and no chance for Meraxis to get away from there. Now, Meraxis did buy his portal key right before he died right there, so that is the positive, but, you know, in a very, again, just a very negative overall situation. It could get worse right here. Bubbles, Bubbles is able to port away before he gets hexed. That would have sucked for him, but he's able to use the Shell Surf port before the hex comes out for Polywog Priest, so he in turn will survive himself. We still have 3 minutes plus remaining on this token of life, by the way. Again, for 15 minutes in, not too often you get to say that, but will they try to? And I guess it's kind of a silly question because they have just been keeping the pressure up, so of course they're going to take advantage of that. As Nymphora, not sure what Nymphora was doing. I guess she felt like they needed more kills on the Legion team, so wanted to help them out a little bit, I guess. So not the. I don't know.
I guess he was going up to ward the plateau. He does have a couple wards in his inventory. I mean, that's just one of those, you kind of know better. It's warding into a dark area is always dangerous, especially that deep in enemy territory when you know some of them are in the mid lane. That was just a silly choice by Pallet. Silly.
Yeah, well, like I said, you know, they have a pretty comfortable lead right now, so not the biggest deal by any means, but just you don't want to be giving the other team free kills at the same time. Pretty obvious statement there.
Why give away candy when you can make people pay for candy?
Exactly. You got to get something out of it. That's what we learned in life. Armadon is actually in a lot of pressure right here. He's going to be ported back by Ophelia, though, before the damage is enough. Well played by Chessie right there. Perfect timing his part. Look at Armadon pointing back in with the rest of the team. Here goes Polywog Priest. He takes the stun initially, though, with that Kelphin. Are the wards going to go down? Bat Blast off to the side. Bubbles dropping quickly, and Bubbles will end up falling. Finally, the wards come down. There goes the kill on a Polywog Priest, but of course the token of life brings him right back up, and he helps set up all the kills. Armadon was chasing in the meantime, gets another kill himself, and Armadon is now at 510 gold per minute as a result of what happened right there. Torture is being chased down as well still, as we do see a kill on a Feint also happening on Parasite. It looks like Torture, though, will end up getting away when it's all said and done. But wow, oh wow, Team Gosu big-time plays in that fight. Again, a great port out initially by Ophelia. And Torture is still hanging around, actually. Oh, no, here comes a port for Nymphora. And Torture is in a lot of trouble. Wretched not going to jump in right here. Nymphora gives her the mana. In she jumps with the Haunt apply. The Sono Scream going to follow up, I'm sure. Any second now, it's going to get the kill. There we go. And there's the dead Torturer. So in the end, you can pretty much call it a genocide right there, as well as another tower kill. Teammate's Ghost is just getting too out of hand now, it seems like.
Yeah, exactly. In that fight, Polywog Priest just played that so well. He was dangerously low, saved those wards for the perfect time, was able to score the ward trap onto Meraxis, and that's what allowed them to secure that kill on the big meaty hero that is, you know, sort of not the target of choice. So very, very well played by Limp yet again to make that happen, and then everyone else just sort of fanning out, and we saw a whole bunch of individual kills to follow up. But like you said, it feels like Team Itsugosu just a little bit too far ahead at this point. They snowballed just a little bit too quickly. Because keep in mind, we're still only 17 and a half minutes in, so this lead is very, very significant for how early on this game is.
Yeah, exactly. We keep talking about the time because you just keep looking back at the clock like, oh, we're at least 30 minutes in, right? Nope, only 17 and a half, no 18 minutes in. It's just ridiculous how Team Ghost is taken out. But through it all, I mean, we keep getting so much credit to obviously Polywog Priest, and just overall just great team support. But Armadon, man, I mean, he's just a tank. He's just going off here in this game. He's 5-1-6 overall in hero kills. But yeah, the farming 500 plus gold per minute already. He's got another beast heart, so obviously on his way to a behemoth heart here. He's gonna have 2,000 plus life around, you know, very quickly, around 22, 23 minutes into this game probably, if not sooner. At the bottom lane, we see Polywog Priest being ported in by Nymphora, and that's gonna set up an easy kill on a Torture, puts the smackdown up. And actually gets credit for the kill right there. Limp though in a little bit of trouble himself as Parasite reacts. There's a freeze from Glacius. And Polywog Priest. What about? Oh my god, Limp get away right here. The full war trap goes out. The affiliate heal comes out. And he's turning this around. Parasite will end up dropping as a result. Polywog Priest still barely alive. The glacial downpour happening. But Polywog Priest will survive in the end. The Casivo comes out. And that's how it's going to finish. Limp is MVP of this game, hands down. That was one of the more impressive Polywog Priest plays I've ever seen. Holy crap.
Oh my god. I mean, a lot of credit to Chessie on Ophelia there for the clutch heal right at the last second to keep him alive. But he did use that power supply to boost the Ophelia heal, which without the power supply, I think Limp would have gone down. So, wow. 7-1 and forward. It's all said and done on that Polywog Priest. I agree with you, man. That was one of the most impressive Polywog Priest games I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Very well.
Limp may have gained even more of a fan base after this game. I wouldn't be surprised about that, as definitely he's deserving of it. I mean, he's been a player that's been around for a long time, so it's not like he's new by any means, but he's never really been a standout name player, at least from what I can.
It's again that poker term comes to mind, and I again can't remember what it's called, but it applies very appropriately. You know, sometimes if you're a good player, you have those skills. Sometimes, man, that stuff just lines up. You know, variance is on your side, lady luck, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes stuff just lines up. I mean, he started to snowball thanks to that double tap that he was able to turn around, which maybe we had a little pinch of a degree of luck there for Parasite to miss that leech. So that was sort of the beginning of the end, and after that, there was just no slowing him down. I'm blown away.
Yeah, that was quite the finish there. I'm excited we got to cast that game and that series, no doubt. With that said, guys, that is going to do it. As I'm actually going to hopefully pull up something right here real quickly, see if it's Mr. Klein has been doing some updates. So here you go. These are some group results so far, as you can see in front of you. Unfortunately, obviously it's not completely up to date, especially with this series, but these are some results so far of what's kind of been happening. So you get an idea of how the groups are actually shaping up so far. Group A, obviously TDM victorious there. I believe they ended up winning 2-0 as well. So, but anyways, there you go. That's kind of just a quick update. Obviously, we'll keep that updated throughout the casting today, and it gets you up-to-date information. But man, again, hell of a finish there, no doubt, to that game. But that means Team Itsugosu, they're 2-0 now. And in that Group C especially, we talked about it, you know, arguably the group of death here. A-Man is now 0-2. They still have to play Black Fade as well as Ling's Walkhouse. So, you know, only two of these four teams obviously making it on. A-Man put themselves in a deep hole now as far as moving on as a result of that. So, unfortunate for them, but obviously great news for Team Itsugosu. So, again, looking forward to seeing how this group stage especially shapes up.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I definitely agree with you. It is rough to lose those first 2 games, though, because after that, I mean, you can crunch the numbers. I guess it's still possible to bring it back if you win all of your remaining games, but that's so one of those, oh, crap, we're down 0-2 in a best-of-3 series. It's possible, but a little bit rough.
Exactly.
So we'll see. We shall see. A lot of great matches on the way, though.
Yep. All right, guys, with that said, that is going to do it again, obviously, for our first match here. So, first series, I guess. We will be having another series coming up. We'll take a look at what we got and see what we're going to be casting.